All right, everybody, welcome back to the first Minecraft Java 1.17 snapshot. This is the second video on it. There's a whole bunch of stuff to cover, so I'm splitting it into a few videos. The first one was about the new copper ore. You don't have to have watched it to watch this, but if you're interested in checking it out after, if you haven't seen it, I'll link it in the description. This time, though, we'll be focusing on the new Amethyst Geodes, which you can find underground, another thing that they unveiled at the Minecraft Live event. So when you're mining, you might find something like this poking out of a cave or a ravine, what have you, and it's an Amethyst Geode inside. It's actually kind of cool how they made it really similar to an actual geode. So it has two layers on the outside. The first is, it's called tough. I don't know if that's the actual terminology for a geode, but tough, T-U-F-F. I love the word, actually, the phonetic spelling of tough. It's great. So you mine through that, and then inside of that, you have calcites. So you have two new blocks that could be used for decoration, building, what have you, calcite and tough. And then beyond that, the interior has the Amethyst Geode. It's very pretty, and it makes nice noises. So this is the block of amethyst here. Now, you'll hear, I've turned up my volume. Stop sprinting, but you can listen to the beautiful noises. Makes nice noises, huh? Now, there's actually two different kinds of amethyst blocks in here. I'm only collecting one of them, block of amethyst, because the other one is called budding amethyst, and it's kind of difficult to tell the difference in textures when you have the amethyst on it. But if we break one of these, and we'll go into what that item is later, you'll notice a slight difference. This has more of a cracked texture to it. This is budding amethyst. And this is what the crystals themselves, or the clusters of crystals, actually grow on, not the amethyst. And you'll notice I broke one over here, and it didn't drop a block. And that's because, I'm so sorry to you guys right now. I'm so sorry, crystals. I'm breaking your home. This cannot actually be harvested. It won't drop the block, and it also doesn't work with Silk Touch. We'll get into more specifics once we get back up to the surface. But anyway, this is what the actual geode looks like, and so the only way to actually grow these crystals is on the budding amethyst, which can only be found and exist inside the geode. So this was mentioned during the Minecraft Live event, is that in order to actually be able to harvest the amethyst crystals, you have to kind of set up one of these geodes that you can come back to over and over and over in order to keep harvesting these things. Let's take a quick look at like the frequency at which they spawn underground. So real quick, I'll go into Spectator. I thought they were actually going to be a lot more rare than they are. You can see another one is down there. There's another one over in that direction, which I'd be able to get a better look at if I had another item that we can actually make using the amethyst that drops from the crystals. There's another one you can see in the distance, kind of at the center of the screen, one right over there. So they're not terribly uncommon, which they made it sound like during Minecraft Live that they were just going to be impossible to find, but you can see quite a few if you just go into Spectator and go underground. There's another one right there. And again, so you run into, it almost looks like a meteor underground, but anytime you see the tuff, it's an amethyst crystal inside. This one has a really like thick shell around it, but it's very pretty. Look, this one's like perfectly spherical. As spherical as you can get, you know, within Minecraft. But let's take a closer look at all the blocks and the things that you're able to do with them. Here's everything broken out just to give an easier overview. So you have the tuff on the outside, calcite beneath that, and then the pretty purple stuff on the inside. This is the Amethyst Block, which you can harvest using an iron pickaxe or above. No Silk Touch needed. But then next to that, again, just a little difference here with that cracked texture in the center that's hard to see if you actually have a crystal growing out of it. But this can't be harvested even with Silk Touch. So I can grab the Silk Touch out of here, and if I try to break it, still nothing. And because that crystal wasn't fully grown, it doesn't drop either. So there's multiple stages of the crystal growth, and they just naturally happen out of any budding amethyst block that has an exposed side to air. So like when I went and set this up, then recorded the other video and came back, like these just had a bunch of crystals fully grown outside of them. So if you let this sit, it'll happen to grow a whole bunch of crystals. So if you find a geode underground that's in a convenient location, it's basically like a farm that's really easy to manage because you just get the amethyst, come back later and get more with no maintenance required. So it's really the ideal farm. So it starts as just the empty side of the budding amethyst. Then you grow stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Now, there was a mention on the changelog that you're supposedly, unless I misunderstood, able to silk touch and collect any of the stages of growth. And these are just, I manually place these in creative on top of regular amethyst blocks so that they wouldn't grow and they'd stay in their stage. But as you can see here with my silk touch, I'm not actually able to collect it. So I don't know if that's an issue with the snapshot that they'll fix or if the changelog said something incorrectly. But for now, the only one that you're actually able to harvest is the fully grown stage. So that's this right here. And that'll drop 4 of the amethyst shards. But you can also use fortune for it if you want. So if you use fortune 3, then you can get a significant amount more shards every time you break it. So we just went from getting 4 to 12 on that single hit. So you might as well get some fortune 3 if you're going to harvest these and make a serious effort at it. As you would expect, you can also craft the amethyst blocks using the shards. It's a 2x2, which is nice rather than a 3x3, but I guess that lines up with quartz and all that sort of stuff. So we can get 4 blocks of amethyst from that. And there's also, what do you know, a couple items you can craft using the amethyst. This is the one that I alluded to in the last video and one of the things they teased on the Minecraft live stream. So if you take a couple of copper and then you add the amethyst shard on top, you get yourself the spyglass. Who needs Optifine zoom when you can right click and zoom in that way? It doesn't have any of the inertia that you get using Optifine zoom. So like it stops when I stop rather than like carrying, I go like that and then it carries on a little bit, which is nice actually with Optifine for like cinematic camera movements and stuff like that. But it's more practical not to have that sort of cinematic inertia. We've got a nice little reflective texture that you can see in the upper left and the bottom right hand corners. And I don't know if it's gonna replace Optifine zoom for me. It's kind of nice to, you know, be able to do it at any perspective and have the full screen, but it's a cool thought. Doesn't do anything when you're in, you know, F5 modes, but it looks cool. Looks like I have something in my head and I'm trying really hard to pull it out and it's very uncomfy. But that's the spyglass. It's a cool addition. So for those people who don't play with Optifine or just want to keep it super vanilla, this is a good way to zoom in on things. So that's nice. Beyond that, though, we've also got another really cool new thing. Before that, though, I want to mention a clip I saw on Reddit where somebody set up command blocks. So if you looked at the sun with the spyglass, when you exit, you'd have blindness, which makes so much sense. How am I able to do this without any sort of negative effect whatsoever? What are my eyes made out of? Apparently something very red because I still haven't changed out of my Halloween skin. But this should have some sort of punishment. Maybe light my head on fire or something, or give me blindness. It makes so much sense. Regardless, let's take a look at the other thing that you can make using the amethyst shards. We'll grab some glass here. And then if we surround the glass on 4 sides using the amethyst shards, or just look up tinted glass, shift and click, then we get tinted glass as a result. And you'll notice you get 2 for every piece of glass, which is kind of cool. You want to also see something cool? Watch this. What? What sort of witchcraft? Did he just punch glass with his bare fist and it dropped? It's not a bug. It's actually how it's supposed to behave. Because it's not technically glass in the sense of, you know, how glass normally works. I mean, you can see through it, right? It works that way. But if we go over here to my little demo science experiment chamber, everything looks normal. We can see out. It's slightly dark. But if I pull the lever, cronk, it's dark. And that's because tinted glass doesn't actually allow light through. So in terms of light, it works just like all these stone blocks here. It doesn't let light through, but I can still see out of it. It just, you know, darkens the exterior a little bit looking through the texture. And then we can do that and open it back up and back to normal. So kind of cool. It's kind of like dark glass. I think that's the name of it that exists in mods. So you can actually have like a mob farm going and you can look into it. It doesn't let the light in from the outside, but you can see what's going on, which I love. This is so good. This is so good if you want to make some sort of mob grinder where, you know, they're falling down into like a lava pit or something like that. Some of the things that I would do back in like Skyblock back in the day. this is great for it. I love the fact that they brought this into vanilla, which is super duper cool. So anyway, that pretty much wraps it up for the Amethyst Geodes and the things that you're able to make using the Amethyst shards and all their behavior mechanics and stuff like that. So thanks very much for watching. There's still one more video to go. There's a lot of miscellaneous changes, things like that. So stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already so you get that video, hopefully pretty shortly. And as always, like the video. It is our sponsor. I forgot to mention it earlier. I'm so sorry. Like button. Don't feel neglected, please. And even if you're already subscribed, hit the bell. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. I'll link the previous one about copper, as well as when it's up, the next one kind of over on the sides, so that you can click on them and check them out if you want to jump right to them. All right, that's it. See you next time.